esteemed speakers and various stakeholder participants, on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Ndukwe Kalu Foundation, we are delighted to extend a very warm welcome to you for joining this webinar that seeks to build on the insights and recommendations gathered during the Child Online Safety Protection and Reporting of Abuse in Nigeria. That's the COSPRA 2023 Summit. You might be asking, what and why online safety? In a world where the internet has become an integral component of children's education and social interaction, the question of how to effectively safeguard their online presence is more pressing than ever. This COSPRA Summit that held last year has been a pivotal event where industry experts that we have here today from various stakeholder groups, policy makers, and child advocates convened to address these concerns and to chart a course towards more robust protection mechanisms. Today's webinar is specifically designed to focus on the digital literacy of the Nigerian child and that area that is critically important in empowering the younger generation to navigate the digital landscape safety and responsibility. We are hoping that with this Fire Chat webinar, our esteemed speakers will delve into the practical applications of the recommendations from the COSPRA 2023 Summit and collaborate on actionable strategies to implement these measures. Our speakers joining us today will be actually announced and brought to our knowledge by the moderator, our very own delectable moderator, Morenike Olonoliwa, pardon my pronunciation. And all of these speakers will be helping, to explain the deep knowledge of what we are hoping to hear today and learn from and take back from all that happened during the last year's COSPRA Summit. For the speakers, your expertise, knowledge, and participation is undeniably vital to the success of this webinar. And as it's through your insights and expertise that we can collectively bring about tangible improvements in the online safety of the Nigerian child. Thank you once again for being here. I'm excited to learn and collaborate in our objective of ensuring a safe, secure, and resilient internet space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Mary Uduma, thank you so much for joining us again. We would like you to open the session for us, so we go straight to the event. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm in a noisy place. I can't speak. I'm sorry. I'll just be, but everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, to go, just a quick one for the speakers. Please, we're all expected to turn on our videos. I'm sorry I could not turn on my own video. I'm having issues down here. But we're expected to have our video turned on so the audience can see you better while explaining your point. Thank you so much. At this point, I would like to hand the mic over to Ms. Morenike Olonoliwa. Thank you. You can take it over from here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning once again. Good morning to everyone, whichever part of the world that you're joining from. It's indeed a great pleasure to be a moderator for this Fireside Chat event this year, 2024. My name is Morenike Olonoliwa Esther Yemi EY. Madam Erica, it's okay. You'd really tried with the pronunciation of the name. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Everyone, you're welcome once again. We'll go straight into the discussion for today. Standing on existing protocol, let me once again welcome all our guests everyone here is a guest, but all our speakers in particular, we're really glad to have you join this conversation this morning. And I hope, and I know that it will be a pleasant one and we'll be able to reach a great consensus at the end of this conversation. Well, like you know, Abdulrazak rightly said, he mentioned this is a conversation around the recommendations that were made at the last year's COSPRA Summit. Last year's COSPRA Summit was a wonderful one. It was fire, you know, it was really great being in the room with brilliant minds and the students as well, the young people who are the major reasons why we're having this discussion. It was a wonderful one, and I'm glad that we have something like this where we can look at the recommendations. It's one thing to have conversations, get recommendations. It's another thing to follow up and be thorough about it. So I must give kudos to the NKF Foundation. This is really brilliant. So to the team, to the chairperson, everybody, this is really brilliant. Okay, so we're going to go straight into it. Let me start by introducing our speakers for today. I have the honor to introduce to us one of our guest speakers for this morning, Mrs. Chinyere Mba Uzoku, the corporate IT. She's a corporate IT and technology professional. Oh, I beg your pardon. Mr. Chinyere Mba Uzoku is a notable industry leader and a consultant in the public and private sector on corporate IT and technology strategy, recognized for his intellectual capacity and demonstrated commitment to people's growth. Mr. Chinyere, you're welcome to this event. Please, let's make him feel welcome. You're welcome, sir. Could you say hello to us so that we're sure that you're with us, sir? Hello? Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, I was just trying to make sure. Is Mr. Chinyere with us? All right, so while we're waiting for him, it's also indeed a pleasure to introduce to us another wonderful speaker, Madam Elizabeth Yisa. She is representing Dr. Ibiso Kingsley George, the head internet unit NCC, that is the Nigerian Communications Commission. So Madam Elizabeth, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. She is the principal manager, Internet Governance Unit, NCC, Nigeria Communications Commission. You're welcome, madam. Thank you so much for joining us today. I also have the pleasure to introduce to us Mr. Manza, the head monitoring center and team lead cybercrime response for NAPTIP, that is the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. You're welcome, Mr. Manza. Thank you so much for joining us. And the last but not the least, I have with us Miss Omale Gloria. She's representing the Nigerian Police Force. Thank you so much for joining us, madam. Okay, that being said, let me give us a quick overview of what we discussed at last year's COSPRA Summit. We looked at the current landscape of digital literacy in Nigeria, especially as it concerns the Nigerian child. We looked at access to the internet. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Banza. It's good to see you. I like your uniform, by the way. The current landscape of digital literacy in Nigeria, especially as it concerns the Nigerian child, I said that already. Access to internet, a right of the Nigerian child. How do we ensure proper accessibility and integration of digital skills into the Nigerian education system? We'll also look at we looked at the place of trust in schools, digital, domestic, and public environments in handling and preventing online abuse. We also looked at how teachers, parents, guardians, can guide their children on the basic principle of online safety. And one big take home for me was the notion, right, and the conclusion that when we're talking about online safety for the Nigerian child, it encompasses every one of us. So aside from government institutions, everyone is a stakeholder. If you're a parent, if you're a guardian, if you are a teacher, whatever capacity that you fall into, we are all stakeholders in this matter. And I know that our participants, we have various individuals coming from various angles as being stakeholders in this conversation. So this is really commendable for us. So a quick one, straight into the recommendations. We came up with quite a number of recommendations. I'm going to run through some of it, and then we'll go straight into the discussion right away with our guest speakers. Now, one of the discussions, one that really stood out for me, right? The responsibility of government to spearhead funding for digital literacy and child online safety programs, right? However, it is not the responsibility of government alone. There to say that we are all stakeholders in this matter. All stakeholders need to work with government to help drive digital literacy programs. Public-private partnerships are recommended to improve the infrastructure level of Nigeria. CSOs need to intensify campaigns and awareness programs against child abuse online. Digital literacy should be integrated into national basic curricula and made mandatory in all schools at all levels. Now, this one is really important. Work needs to be done to ensure accessibility, affordability, and availability of the internet is of globally acceptable standards. Policy need to be properly implemented, reviewed, and updated to keep up with the fast-paced development of technology. Parents have a very important role to play in digital literacy, and these groups should be especially targeted with programs and campaigns. I tell you, the recommendations are very robust. So to spare us time, because we really want to manage our time to get the best of this meeting, I'm going to start with one of our female guest speakers. Give me a minute. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Madam Elizabeth Yisa. Are you with us, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Good morning again.
All right. You're welcome once again. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, so let's speak to what the NCC now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, have been doing. What are their thoughts regarding this recommendation? As that when it was given at the last COSPRA Summit, what was the position of NCC regarding some of this recommendation?
All right, thank you. I believe, okay, I didn't attend last year's summit, but I believe my supervisor already spoke about what the NCC is doing. I believe she also spoke about some of the programs the NCC is embarking on or has already embarked on, especially as regards digital literacy training for youth around the country. So I want to reemphasize that that is still ongoing in different parts of the country and is being anchored by the Digital Economy Department of the Commission. So we collaborate with them to ensure that. Now, I think last year or 2 years ago, we also had the Nigerian Girls Can Code, which we collaborated with a stakeholder to implement that. And that's, that initiative is mainly to encourage girls to, come into STEM-related curriculum. Now, last year, she also mentioned the fact that we collaborate with a lot of stakeholders. I just saw Mr. Naptip here. He's one of the very, very good stakeholders we collaborate with, and then NITDA and other organizations. Now, 2 years ago, the National Child Online Protection Policy and Strategy document was developed, and in that document, it took into cognizance all the different stakeholders who need to play their role in order to have all these recommendations you're already mentioning are like captured in that document. Beautiful. So as it is right now, we're just waiting for the launch of that document. But even before the launch and then the inauguration of the working group, which will involve, civil society, government, different stakeholders, so that we're sure that everyone has a coordinated, what is that now? Coordinated efforts, thank you. Can imagine of all was forget, yeah. So we'll have a coordinated effort as regards child online protection. Once that working group is inaugurated, most of these recommendations, which have already been mentioned, I think will be more streamlined and easier to monitor progress. So on the NCC's website at the moment, we have some information for parents, teachers, and guardians, and also for children. Those documents have been translated into Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and Pidgin. The documents were localized when ITU released the guidelines in 2020, once COVID struck and most children went online. So those guidelines were localized and they're now uploaded on the NCC's website for anyone to have access to. However, we also collaborate with stakeholders to have the practical aspects of that, implemented when it comes to parents, teachers, and guardians, because it's one thing to have something uploaded on your website. It's another thing for people to even understand what it is they're supposed to do. Yes, exactly. So like recently, was it last year, 2 years ago, we also had this program called Parenting 101 for Digital Citizens. So in that program, what we did was to pick out all the aspects that parents, teachers, and guardians need to take note of. So the psychological effects of what you're doing, what are the harm you're causing for children if you don't properly inform them of what they need to know before they even go online. Then some of the parental controls they need to enforce on their devices, whether they're personal devices or the children's devices, and then the reporting line they have. So you can report to the police, you can report to NATIP. We embarked on those programs and we're about to go a bit further to now make it online, because gathering people in a particular place to come and listen to this is not exactly easy, especially with the way the country is. So we're looking at taking that initiative online so that way people can join from, the comfort of their offices and homes and hear about these initiatives. But in line with that, for those who were able to go to visit, and now it's like schools, worship houses and other areas, we actually take time to show them how to implement these parental controls, because most parents and teachers, or let's say most parents and guardians, don't know how to do this. So your teachers are there trying to implement things in school, and then they come home, parents don't know what it is they're supposed to do with the devices, and so the harm still remains. So we take time to actually show these parents how to set up these controls on their devices. We had a recent one in celebration of Children's Day that was just some weeks back, and it was amazing how some parents didn't realize that just giving your child your personal device is even more dangerous than giving a child their own device. Because at that point, that child is now taken as an adult and is open to adult content. So we show them how to, restrict some websites from viewing on their devices so that they can protect these children. So another initiative which we embarked on, and we're also waiting for, the inauguration of the working group, is collaboration with the Ministry of Education, because including COP into curriculum is one of the easiest ways to begin teaching our children from school how to be safe online, not that they just stumble upon internet and then they don't even know how to behave while they're on the internet. So we're working hand in hand with Ministry of Education, and we believe that once the working group is inaugurated, they are part of the working group. We're going to take it further and they will get the necessary approvals to ensure that COP is incorporated into the national curriculum. That is actually on the way, and we're hoping that by next year, we should have adequate feedback for that. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I've missed out. I think the other thing I was
going to ask, sorry to cut you, I was going to ask, do we have a date on when the launch is happening, when the document will be available to the public?
It's going to be later this year. For now, we don't have an exact date because, it's not the NCC that is to launch. It's supposed to be the ministry to launch and then invite all stakeholders to the launch.
Right.
So once that date is confirmed, it's to be passed around to all stakeholders. And then once it's launched, it's to be implemented as required. Yes. So I think that's it from me for now. I don't believe I've left anything else out, but if I do remember anything, I'll bring it up. Thank you.
Okay, one last thing
Yes.
for you for now. So I'm really impressed with some of the programs that the NCC is doing, particularly the one you referenced during the Children's Day to commemorate the Children's Day that just passed. So my question is, are we having a replica of these programs across the states, or just the FCT? Are we having it duplicated across states in Nigeria?
Okay,
Ma,
so
I think she's in the meeting upstairs.
the NCC. Okay, I think someone's mic is.
That's why I said they
Ma'am,
should check by
please
two.
help us mute your mic. Abdulrazak, can you help us?
Because now she didn't send any message. She's supposed to tell me that.
Abdulrazak, can you please mute
Abdulrazak, can you please help
Oluwatoyin?
us mute
I'm
from
trying
the...
to get the person.
Yes, they should check by two.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we check this.
The name is Oluwatoyin. Also,
Yes,
mute
Oluwatoyin
Oluwatoyin.
Atoyin,
Onala.
please mute your mic, madam. Thank you very much. Okay, we got it. You have the floor now.
All right, thank you.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, so the commission has offices in 5 different states apart from Abuja. So we're replicating it in the states where we already have offices. We have COP focal persons in those zones. So anytime they go out for awareness sessions to consumers or to schools, they ensure that they carry this information to wherever community they are going to. So they're also in charge of other states. So when they have the opportunity to go to the other states, they also share this information. So it's not just Abuja that is doing it, it's all the states. But however, there's still a lot of ground to cover. So that's the reason why I want to take some of it online, so that for those who can join online, even if it's like a 30 to 45-minute session, there's still a lot that we can share with people to understand what they need to do, especially as regards their children. And then we also have an MOU with National Orientation Agency. So once this Nigerian Child Online Protection Policy and Strategy document is launched, they are the ones that are going to take this information out to the 774 local governments of the country. So we're hoping that they're going to do a very good work on behalf of all of our stakeholders and make the work easier for us. Yes, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Madam Elizabeth. We really appreciate that. Just in case you're just joining us and you're wondering, you've been hearing the voice, and I think you can see her screen. Madam Elizabeth Issa, the Principal Manager, Internet Governance Unit for NCC, that's the Nigerian Communications Commission. Thank you very much, ma'am. So let's have conversations with you, Mr. Magza. You're welcome, sir. Okay, so Mr. Magza is the head of Monitoring Center and Team Lead Cybercrime Response of NAPTIP. Mr. Magza, can I please request that you turn on your video so we can see you, sir?
My video is on. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's have your thoughts, right? How has NAPTIP, fared in the last months since the last COSPRA Summit, especially with the recommendations that came off at that meeting? How has NAPTIP been able to incorporate these recommendations? What are there challenges? Are there, what exactly is happening? How is NAPTIP handling or doing with it?
All right. Thank you, KG. It's nice meeting and welcome all. Elizabeth, thank you for recognizing us. I think it's been quite a while that we spoke on this as a group, but I would say the work is enormous, whether we like it or not, because from the numbers we see every day, from the complaints we see, from the reports that we get both online and both from working complainants to the agency, we've seen that, we have far challenges ahead of us in terms of issues of child online protection in Nigeria. NAPTIP as a law enforcement agency, which is charged with the responsibility of dealing with issues of human trafficking and also issues pertaining to child, and also even child abuse and recruitment, what have you, we've seen a lot of cases coming in. So from the last time to now, I can say some of the recommendations we've looked at, especially when it comes to, from the law enforcement aspect of it. We have seen a lot of reports coming in, and NAPTIP, also in collaboration with other stakeholders, especially with the Federal Ministry of Education, NAPTIP has been able to establish what we call anti-human trafficking vanguard in 108 unity schools across the country. And also, the Office of the Chief of Army Staff has also granted NAPTIP permission also to establish all these vanguards in all the military schools across the Federation. So you can see in terms of education, dealing with issues of child online. We have seen.
Oh, sorry to cut you, sir. So the Vanguard means that it's been incorporated. The students are being taught.
Clubs. Yes,
Oh,
yes. There are clubs which is called NAPTIP Vanguards. So these are clubs in all the schools whereby we pick some students to actually mentor and teach other students and tell them about. Then we come time. There's a department called Public Enlightenment Department in NAPTIP, which actually goes around all the schools and also discuss with children about issues and how to protect themselves, issues of internet safety, how to report cases, and how to actually deal with that. Because we've seen numbers. As I'm talking to you, there's no day we don't get reports of issues pertaining to child online sexual exploitation.
So does that mean, sorry, sir, does that mean that the rate of reports has gone up, has increased significantly now?
It has increased. If I can tell you that within the last 2-3 years, we've had reports both from telecoms. When I mean telecom, when I mean electronic service providers like ESPs, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We have over close to 500,000 that we have received in Nigeria. So you can imagine how can we deal with these cases? And these cases are cases of sell distribution of pornographic materials, cases of financial sextortion, cases of grooming. So many of those cases, in fact, we have so many of those cases that are already in the agency. So with that, NAPTIP has been able to collaborate. We were just in a meeting last month in Washington, D.C., and we represented Nigeria to actually talk with all the telecom giants in the world. We were with Meta, we were with TikTok, we were with Snap, we were with Bumble, we were Dropbox. If you name any of the tech companies. So we've talked with them on how they can actually assist in dealing with Nigeria and dealing with cases and sending cases to us without issues of MLAT, which is Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty that we have, which takes a lot of time. If a child is in danger and if we send such things, it takes months for us to get. So we're looking at ways where we can, if there's an issue, if there's an account that we suspect an offender is using, we just talk to Meta in any of their platforms, Instagram, WhatsApp, or Facebook to actually have the records, what we call records of the offenders, for us to be actually to deal with that. It's a huge problem, whether we like it or not, because the kids, especially between the ages of we've noticed that between the ages of 10, to 17, most of the ones that are actually vulnerable. We've had cases of almost suicide being committed in Nigeria here, and in the United States, so far we have received reports of suicides of more than 6 or 7 children have committed suicide. Just yesterday, we received a message from the National Crime Agency UK, which a suicide has been committed by, and the offender is a Nigerian offender. So we look at it that it's affecting other countries, but we see these offenders are coming back to Nigeria because they are the ones actually sextorting young ones, especially those in the university. So there's an issue to that because they are children. Most of them that are either young adults or those that are below 18 years are those that are affected. So NAPTIP, because of that, NAPTIP has set up what we call the cyber response team, which I'm privileged to lead the team and mentor the team to actually see how we can actually work with that. We've worked with other agencies like Federal Ministry of Justice, the Nigerian Police. In fact, we've had several joint trainings with the Nigerian Police Cyber Crime Center. And as I'm talking to you now, we're looking at building a task team which will involve the NAPTIP, Police, Federal Ministry of Justice, and EFCC together. We form a team where officers will come and sit in a room to be looking at these cases and analyzing it, because NAPTIP alone cannot do that. We need the cooperation of other law enforcement agencies. We need the cooperation of even civil societies and other government agencies. That is why, just like what Eli said, that we are actually working together, especially with the issues of this child online protection policy and strategy, which we have put a lot of work into that, and we hope it will be launched and to be implemented, as she said, maybe towards the end of the year. So these are some of the things that we've done, but it's an alarming situation. I don't want to sound as somebody who is raising an alarm, but it is actually a crisis because we see the records coming in, we see the number of kids being groomed, we see the number of kids being sextorted on the internet daily. So for parents, based on the recommendation, we need to talk with parents a lot. Parents need to do more Even me as a parent, I know what it is. Even if my child, anytime my child takes my phone and say he wants to look at it, I feel that it's going somewhere. So it is also actually have controls and look at what actually the children will be. Yes, it is one thing to have the digital penetration. We have just about 40% internet penetration across the country. But with the new rollout for the Ministry of Digital Economy of the new fiber, which will cover up to 70% of the country, you would bet me that a lot of people will be online, and there's a lot of work to be done to actually talk. And also, so education is the key role, just like she also said. The Ministry of National Orientation Agency has a key role to work with every stakeholder in actually educating, because enforcement cannot do this. We cannot arrest, we cannot go and start talking to how many offenders, 500,000 offenders that we're looking at. Is not easy. So what is best is actually education. Education is what we should do, which I think we've started. SCC are doing it, NAPTIP is doing, other civil society groups are actually doing it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Magda. That's a really robust one. People would say it's easy to sit back and just assume that the government is not doing anything, but it really takes coming closer to see that there's a lot that is being done. And I really appreciate NAPTIP, especially for the clubs that have been inaugurated across schools. But I want to ask regarding that, do we have those clubs in universities as well? Is there a platform for that?
No, yeah, we don't have in universities, but I think we're actually working with other civil society groups, and I think to go into different universities. I think we've done that in the I think we've had that in the Nile University. So we're going to even University of Abuja. We've had to talk with them. So I think there are other universities within the FCT that we're starting to actually go and talk with them, because we've seen that most of those ones that are affected are actually the young ones that are coming into, especially those in SS1, 2 in the universities, are those that have been affected, but not even the older ones. You can tell me, even we've had a case of a 42-year-old lady who has been sextorted. In fact, she almost committed suicide. She had to be admitted in the hospital for almost a month for her to go into trauma. So we had that case also here. So it's everywhere. But for kids, we're talking about child now. So, but for the children,
yes, the Nigerian child,
it's more. It's for the child. It's more. We have, as I told you, close to 500,000 cases that we have already on ground.
Okay, thank you so much. And this will lead us straight to the Nigerian Police Force. But before we have Omale Gloria, can I request that everyone please turn on your camera? We want to do something real quick. Can everyone, if you're on this platform as a participant, can you please turn on your camera real quick? Mr. Bashar is saying, I don't hear anything. I believe that our technical team will help us fix that age. So if you're on this fire chat conversation, can you please just turn on your camera real quick? Let's do something real quick, please. Can I have us turn on our cameras, please? Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
please,
can.
let's turn on our camera. Let's turn on our camera. Let's turn on our camera. You're welcome, Mr. Bashir from Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Kano State. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Can we quickly turn on our cameras, please? Just quickly. We'll go back to the discussion. We're trying to, as much as possible, make do and make best moment with our time. Are we camera shy? Let's please just turn on our camera real quick. I just want us to show me right there where you are. Can you raise up something black? Hold up something black. I can't see us though. I think I can just see myself right now. Okay. Can we hear me? We can hear me, but we're not responding.
Yeah,
please turn on your camera. Okay. Show me something black on your table. I see myself. I see. Okay. Can you raise up something white on your table? Oh dear, I can't see us. This is just to make sure that we are actively participating and our cameras are not just on. Can you show me something pink on your table?
No.
Pardon me, this is not majorly pink. Show me something pink from your table, from your desk.
We don't have.
We don't have anything pink on our table.
I don't have a pink.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's get back into the discussion for today. Thank you so much for participating in that. We'll go straight into the discussion as well. Can we have Ma'am Omale Gloria? You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Ma'am Omale Gloria is representing the Nigerian Police Force. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Very loud and clear. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you so much. My name is SP Omale Gloria. I'm working with the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center. And I saw that our role as strategic leaders in leading security and safer internet for children, for Nigerian children. I want to say by way of introduction that the center, we have been tireless in our work with NGOs and other partners to create awareness. I remember recently, last year during September, we had a Secure Heart digital program with NCC, Nigerian Communication Commission, in our center here, where it was basically on gender violence against women and all those things. It was like a 3 days awareness program, and it was very huge and massive. We had up to 120 participants. And we have done a lot of this kind of training and awareness programs with other agencies, initially NAPTIP and all the rest and everything. So in the center, we see a lot of extortion cases, we see a lot of gender violence, online gender violence cases, and we see a lot of distribution of child exploitation materials just to shame and make the victim look very bad and all those things, which leads a lot of time to depression and all that. So we receive all these complaints. These are work. This is what we do. We investigate, and some of these complaints, these petitions, come in through our online channels and through petitions to the Inspector General of Police. These cases have been charged to court. I remember, and we work a lot with NCA. Just on Friday, 10 of our colleagues from the center with the director of the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center. They just came back from the Nigerian National Crime Agency in the UK on a familiarization tour. We work a lot with the FBI when it comes to international cases that needs urgent attention. And of course, we are presently in Interpol, and before we became like sort of stand on our own and everything. So we do a lot of operations with Interpol and Europol and all the rest of international partners and everything. So presently now we're trying to extend our awareness campaign to schools after the Secure Heart digital program that we did in September with NCC. And the recommendation was for all the secondary schools in Abuja, in Nigeria, and everywhere to have this kind of opportunity to know what is happening. Because we have a lot of victims falling victims to romance scams and romance scammers. They're everywhere looking for their victims, coming in the form of love, I love you, and all those things. And people, yes, innocent victims are falling, and their images are being distributed. Recently, we were investigating one that she said, according to her, she has to even have to resign from her place of work because somebody that she was dating in the office distributed her content online, and it was very bad for her, so she has to leave. So we do all these kind of investigations, and some of these cases are presently in federal high courts here in Abuja, and we're getting convictions on all these things. So there's a lot of work that is being put, a lot of effort that is being put online to educate Nigerians and our young persons on the danger of this digital literacy, even when we have a lot of positive aspects of it, but we have bad perpetrators using this platform because of its accessibility, anonymity, and all those things to perpetrate evil. So we're trying to let them know these evil parts of being literate digitally. So it's good. Of course, the positive aspects are outweighed the negative aspect of it, but we have victims becoming depressed, so even having suicidal thoughts and intent as a result of their private content being distributed online. So in the center, we're working a lot. Some of our partners are even online here. I remember I was talking to somebody that should be part of this meeting recently in my office and was telling me what he's doing, and I was telling him what we are doing. And then so the government, like part of our recommendation is not only a government kind of thing. The CSOs, the NGOs, and all these other persons, they have a lot of work to do. And I remember recently we were working. We are part of the committees that brought up recommendations and all those concerning the recently amended Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act 2024 and everything. So recently again, I think we were part of people that we worked with United Nations. We had to go to National Assembly for one of these online issues that needs amendment and all this. So in the center, we are restless, we are tireless, we are very committed to our work, and we are very, very committed to ensuring that there's safer internet for everyone, and everybody is aware of what they should do online and how they need to protect themselves digitally. So these are my contributions. No.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, SP Omale Gloria, for that elaborate thoughts on what the Nigerian Police Force is doing in protecting children, the Nigerian child, when it comes to digital space online. So we'll be taking our questions shortly. So I want to encourage every one of us to please start leaving your questions in the chat box. It's also important to know that if you're just joining in, please drop your name and the organization that you represent. The goal of this discussion is to see how various stakeholders from NCC to NAPTIP to the Nigerian Police Force, how we are faring regarding the recommendations from the last COSPRA Summit that happened in 2023. Do we have Mr. Chineye Mba? Are you with us, sir? Abdul, I'm not sure we have Mr. Chinenye.
I'm not sure he has been able to join. He has been having issue with his network.
Oh dear. Okay, I hope it's resolved on time. So while we're getting our questions ready, okay, I want to ask, and I think I'll give this directly to Ms. Elizabeth Yisa, the Principal Manager, Internet Governance Unit. Right. So you mentioned that there have been, trainings that have happened that the SEC is doing, especially in the states where their offices are represented, and also the interstate communications that is happening in transferring information. And I beg your pardon, please hold on for me. Mr. Mansa, you also answered to this. So I'm asking, one of the recommendations was courses on digital literacy, cybersecurity, and internet-related laws should be made available for these stakeholders that we're talking about. Now, I know that traditional trainings have been happening and it's still happening. So are we looking at moving these trainings now to more like an online course? Is there a platform? Are we looking at that directive, making it an online course, a package that is readily available to anybody, whether a student, whether a parent, guardian, at any point, they just go to your website, for instance, and the courses are available. And then, they can even get, what do you call it now, certificates for taking the course, more like something to encourage. Do we have such coming up, or is it existing, not the traditional now, an online platform? So I would say that, Madam Elizabeth, please respond to that first, and then we will have Mr. Mark give his thoughts on that as well. Please go ahead, you have the floor, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so we have ideas to actually do that. We wanted to have podcasts for those who don't even have access to video. They will can listen to the podcast, and they will also have the plans to have those videos. However, I think that's going to be later next year. We don't have plans for that for this year, but hopefully next year we should have that available and to be on all stakeholder platforms. So it's going to be a collaborative effort, not just NCC's effort. So stakeholders that come together, agree on the content, have it developed. And that's where the Child Online Protection Working Group comes into play. Because once they're inaugurated, whatever they decide, all stakeholders are supposed to now have that on their platforms so that whenever citizens go to any of their platforms, they have it readily available. And then another thing that they'll be looking at, depending on when they're inaugurated, is to have like a child online protection site. So when people go there, they can have information for NAPTIP, they have information for NPF, they have information for CSOs, where they can, just like a one-stop shop, where if you go there, you have all the information on one site. We're hoping that that will also be done by next year, just to make it easier for citizens to know what to do when they need to, learn or to report cases as regards children. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Just also to note, I know that when COVID-19 came aboard, there was an intensive use of media to push out messages. Are we looking to leverage all of that to publicize all that we are doing? Because I think that would be very instrumental as well.
Yeah, so as regards pushing out messages, there's this do not disturb for some providers. So we're trying to be careful not to begin to spam people with information which they've already decided they do not want to receive on the general platform. And so it's easier if people have not subscribed to that, then they can get those messages. But if people have subscribed, they won't get messages through SMS. So we're looking at other platforms. And for example, for your financial institutions, if you notice, they always have a lot of awareness, content put up on their sites because of people who are usually scammed as regards financial aspects. That's the same thing we intend to do as regards child online protection, but trying to be careful not to spam people with this information so they don't just say, oh, they've come again and click and move. Yeah, so that's something that we need to discuss and find the best way to handle, as stakeholders.
I must give it to the Nigerian Communications Commission. It's really brilliant work. And I like that there is an extensive thought process that is being put into the interventions that you're looking at. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Maxia, please, let's have your thoughts on the idea of running on courses, having a platform where people can take on these courses and perhaps even certification for it, just to encourage participation.
Yeah. For us, I look at it as a preventive method whereby we push out messages on our website on how to protect yourself as a child, and how the parents and some of the do's and don'ts, and how parents, because if you begin to look at your child being reserved sometime or being withdrawn from certain things, doesn't talk too much, you need to check more. So there are certain things we are looking at. First of all, there's an NGO, we're working on developing a toolkit for kids on what are they to see, with little graphics and a lot of animations for kids to see the safe use of internet. We're working on that, and hopefully very soon we will publish it on our website. Then for the courses you're talking about, we need to look at the courses into different forms. You understand? We don't train kids, and at the same time they use it against themselves or against people. So we need to work with the educators directly and say, okay, what are the best ways for us to actually do that? But what we also do is any event we go, be it issues of child online for NAPTIP, any event we go to, we take it at least 5 minutes to discuss about dangers of using the internet wrongly. We talk whether it's an adult meeting or meeting with kids, or no matter the topic, we also make sure that we put 5 minutes to talk about that, and also tell whoever is at that meeting on how to report these cases to NAPTIP, not just NAPTIP, even to the police or to the nearest law enforcement agencies around you for such things. But we do that. But for the issues of the training, it's a good thing, but you need to be careful and work with educators on how that message should be given to the kids.
Thank you so much, Mr. Magza, for that thought. I want to encourage us to please leave our questions in the chat box. I see a message from Mr. Bashir, I believe, speaking to in Kano State, less is being done in regards to digital literacy at the lower level, especially the children. However, the ministry is working to develop a space for children where they can credit the complaints on digital issues. That's really brilliant. Thank you so much.
Wow.
SP Amala Gloria, do you want to speak on the last thoughts regarding publications, online courses for stakeholders, including young people who want to, get ideas on how to navigate their way safely on the internet?
Okay, thank you so much for bringing me in again.
You're welcome.
I think as it regards to the safer use of internet, everybody should be aware, and where necessary, certification should be gotten. Like I'm a certified forensic expert, and we have been doing this for some time. So when it comes to cybersecurity, there's a lot of certification online apps and so many other websites that they do this training for free, some for just little token and all these things. Yes. So I think everyone should, as much as possible, should be certificated. Especially people that want to do cybersecurity and cybercrime as as if they want to go into it, they should. There is a lot of certification online. There is the e-council of the European Union, and so many of them and all those things. So the certification is necessary, is important, but it's very expensive. We see that some of them that are not free, they in dollar, and you know the rates at which the dollar is now in Nigeria. So we have most of our youths are doing cybersecurity as their studies in the universities. They come to our center for IT, and I liaise with them as part of my schedule of duty, and we encourage them, we do presentations for them, they do presentations for us, and they go online and get certificated and all this information. So as much as possible, as many persons that are within that, cybersecurity is expensive, it's not cheap, it's very expensive. Yes. So they should, the certification is very important. And if government can come in this aspect, I think we need is doing a lot in this aspect. There's a lot of certification going on. I saw some the other time as part of government efforts to ensure people are aware, they're protected online, and the cyber threat are not. So certification is important, it's key, and it's the driving force for digital literacy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that train of thought. Once again, I want to really commend NK for this conversation. This is really brilliant. Now, we've all spoken from the point of view of, okay, Mr. Max, your hands raised. You have the floor, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add and say kudos to, I think, Omale Gloria, because I've known her and we've had a lot of trainings which she has delivered, and she's a very good tutor, and especially when it comes to her field. So there are a lot of courses, just like she said, there are a lot of courses, and at the same time, safer internet kits, toolkits for us. I think it's what all of us should look at. Everybody should be able to tell, a kid how to use the internet well and how not to use it well. So it's our own duty to use and educate each and everybody to actually educate the individual as you go, because the internet has come to stay and it's becoming more dynamic with the coming of AI now. It's becoming more, the field is becoming more devastating and dangerous again to go. AI has a good part and has a bad part. So, but we need to actually talk to our kids every day, everywhere we move, about how to actually navigate the internet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. So I like the fact that you made mention that we need to talk to our children, which brings me to our next line of conversation. One of the recommendations that stood out for me is that children should be slowly eased into the online world by their parents and guardians. Now, I know that we've all given our thoughts from the angle of, you're representing the government, the office that you occupy. But now I want us to shift from that and now discuss as parents, as guardians that we are. I'm a mom of two, and my first is 5, and there are times, oh, mommy, can I watch cartoon on your phone? We're beginning to have discussions like that. And it gives me a perspective of, even at 5, there are conversations that I, as a parent, should be having. So I want us to look at that recommendation in particular. Children should be slowly eased into the online world by their parents and guardians. So let me start with you, Mr. Magza. Age is relative, right? If we say so, at what age?
Yeah. So
at
let
what
me,
age
let
is
me,
the
let
best
me,
time to begin to introduce, for instance? Let's start with that.
For me, I'm not a child expert, but I'm a child. I'm an expert in actually investigating issues of that. But I've seen cases whereby, children of 4 or 5 years, go into areas that you don't even expect, especially when their parents leave their phones and the kids just go, they're pressing that, especially when you have YouTube and it's not
Some ads
the
that
YouTube
even
for
pop up
kids.
while the children are using it.
Yeah,
Like,
so especially, and you don't know any site you visit, eh, already the computer has a cache and knows all those sites. So by the time you leave it and your kids go on, you will see those sites will be popping up because the system reads the history, reads where you go to. So it will also condition some of the adverts and some of the things you visit towards that. So your kids will now pop up and see. I think there's a case I know is the National Cyber Crime Center, the police cyber crime center they are working on. There's a school in Abuja here where the kids, I think a group of the kids, they're I think primary school kids, that they were exchanging numbers and sharing information, especially nude pictures of themselves and what have you. This Abuja, it happened. And I think it's the police, it's the Nigerian Cyber Crime Center that is handling that case. You can imagine how it is. It was reported. I think it was by one of the parents, and I think I'll just leave it at that. But you can see that these are children that are between the ages of maybe 9 to 12 or 13 years old. You
that's
understand?
alarming.
Or even less than that. So for kids, as you said, we need to slowly guide them, and we need to. For me, I don't believe in giving phones to my kids. My daughter, it was when she went to the university that I bought a phone for her and to start using
An
in the
internet
university.
enabled phone.
Yeah, internet enabled phone. But they can call. If I have a case, is a friend. What happened? Somebody called. It's a phone she was using. Somebody called the daughter. Before they knew it, they lured the daughter into taking the dad's credit card, debit card, and she goes every time to send them money. In fact, he reported to the bank several times. He was thinking that it was somewhere, but he didn't know it was in his house that cyber crime is being committed. And she's just about 12 or 13-year-old.
Wow.
So you can see, for me, there's no, I think it's just for you to actually guide and monitor properly.
Yeah.
Monitoring is actually, for me, you need to monitor and see what they are doing daily on phones. If they have access to it, then you have a Herculean task and monitoring. And if you don't give them access to that, fine and good. But if you are giving them, which I don't advise, then you need to monitor well. There are a lot of sites. There are a lot of sites for kids that they can use. A lot of good sites, a lot of sites that kids can use and develop themselves, even with computer, without even going to any of these sites. So, all right,
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Madam Elizabeth, please, let's have your thoughts on this from the perspective of a parent or a guardian. How do we slowly ease our children into the online world?
All right. So just like Mr. Manga said, these discussions with children are very, very paramount. sometimes as parents, we always feel we're too busy to have these conversations with the children. And then some of us, when we're growing up, we had this challenge where your mother just says, do this, do that, and you're expected to obey. These children these days, you tell them that, and that's even that gives them the right to even try and investigate further. Why is mommy or daddy, why are they telling us to, you know? Yes, so you must have conversations with these children and explain to them what the challenges are, the good and the bad of being online. It's not okay to just leave them, like Mr. Manga said, you have to be on their head, you have to monitor. So even as you're monitoring, you're explaining to them the reason you're monitoring because of the dangers of the internet. So they don't feel as if mommy and daddy are not minding their business. That's the mindset children always have, So these conversations must keep on going on with our children, because if they don't have conversations with you as a parent, they will have these conversations with the wrong set of people who will give them the wrong advice. And that is what, they will now implement as children. And I also noticed on the chat, someone, I think Mr. Hamza, posted a question asking what NCC is doing, what are NCC's plans to ensure digital inclusion of persons with disabilities by making internet accessible. So, sorry, I wanted to check the message if that got
okay, let me read it out. Let me read it out for you.
Thank you. All right.
To the NCC, what are your plans to ensure the digital inclusion of persons with disabilities by making the internet accessible? This is from Amza Aiminu, Coordinator PWDs in the Center for Information Technology and Development. You're welcome, Mr. Amza. That's an interesting perspective. So, yeah. Madam Elizabeth, you want to respond to that?
Yes. So as the NCC, we have the Consumer Affairs Bureau, and they take into cognizance this set of individuals. It's not just those who have normal access. They actually take time to find out how best do these people want to access the internet, and then they collaborate with the necessary stakeholders, whether in the NCC or outside the NCC, to achieve this. So I may not have details right now about what they've done, but I know the NCC does not take for granted this set of individuals to also have the access they need to the internet. So I know NCC is doing a lot in that aspect.
Okay, I thank you so much for that. There is need for inclusion when it comes to interventions across board. So we really appreciate that chain of thought. SP Gloria, your thoughts from the perspective of a parent or guardian. You have the floor, madam. Are you with us?
Hello. Hello, good evening. Good morning.
Good evening, Mr. Abimbola Olayinka. You want to ask a question? Please use the chat box. Madam Gloria, you're welcome. You have the floor.
Okay, as it regards to, I'm trying to, yes, sorry, parental guidance, how children should. Yes,
slowly ease into the online world.
Yes, slowly ease. I think for me, I have kids, I have 4 of them, and I've been very particular about what they watch online. But as parents, we cannot be more careful, because these kids, they have their ways of doing some things on my phone that I don't even know how to navigate. They know how to do it, but I don't allow them to take touch and go touch my phone. But little while, they say, "Mommy, please, we need to see what we snap pictures in the school. I need to see how it is, and all those things, and all those things." For me, I think 18 years is the year of maturity for any kid to be allowed to be able to manipulate the system. Because this internet, we're talking about access to billions and millions of persons. And some of these persons are not, they have evil intention, they are manipulative, they are not legit, so to say, they are not genuine. So what, as parents, I'm saying this as a parent now, my role is to protect my child from using the internet quite early. So for me, it's 18. When the child is at that age of maturity, the child can have a phone that is connected to the internet, and all this thing. So I think parents should do more, like they have been saying, on monitoring and evaluating what these children have access to. Like the case that Mazda was talking about yesterday, it's quite pathetic that young children, maybe because of their parental status and prestige, they have access to iPhones and all those things. So we should be able to limit it as parents so that we protect this child from harms, because there's a lot of harms on the internet.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. If you're just joining, because I see that some people are just joining us, this is the Fireside chat for the COSPRA 2023 Digital Literacy Recommendations. And we're still looking at child online safety, protection, and reporting of abuse in Nigeria. And we have with us Ms. Elizabeth Yisa, Principal Manager, Internet Governance Unit. We have from the Nigerian Communications Commission, we have the Nigerian Police Force, ably represented by SP Omale Gloria, and Mr. Manza from the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. He's the head of Monitoring Center and team lead cybercrime response for NAPTIP. And to every of our participants, I want to welcome you again. Let me remind you that you can drop your question in the chat box. We're taking questions now. So our time is really running, and I'm glad that we're making significant progress. And let's go to the issue of data. Now, a lot of people have come forward to say one of our biggest problems in Nigeria is data. You really don't find easy access to data, even on government websites, for instance, where it should be made available. If I want data on how many reports have been turned in the past 6 months, I should go to NAPTIP's website, for instance, and I can get all the information. If I'm working as a researcher and I want to do an article, this information should be available to the public. So let me start with Mr. Magsa now, in terms of data, right, which is also part of one of the recommendations. I'll read out the recommendation. It said, there is a need to find adequate sample sizes so that we're able to extrapolate the data in a more realistic manner. And we're therefore able to build programs that will help children. So how is NAPTIP doing in terms of data collection? Do we have data available to back up our progress so far? Are they readily available? Mr. Manza, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. And just like I called the figure to you, that we have close to 500,000. And if I get on to the system now, and I say, I want to find out all reports that came to Nigeria from all the telecoms company, I can have it, I can give you within the next
up to date,
5 seconds.
Up to date.
Yes, this is one. Then secondly, if you go even to our website, if you go to downloads, we publish annual data, quarterly data. If you go to our website, and there's a place called downloads and resources. When you go there, you can download and see all that. You understand? So we have a digital database where even if you walk in and report, when the cases have been investigated, I think we put the statistical data. And if persons are convicted, you see it. In fact, if it's human trafficking convicted, if it's child sexual exploitation or rape case that have been convicted, if you go to Adeti, you will see pictures of even those that have been convicted and published on our website. And I also know, I'm not talking for the police, but I know they have a very good reporting system now that when you report, it goes into the system. And from there, I know definitely they will be able to get all data as I reported. It's one thing to report. People will just come and say, there's a lot of this. If you don't report, we can't know what is happening. But any cases that is being reported is being documented in NAPTIP. Any case that is being reported, whether we find it, whether it goes to court or it doesn't go to court, but any case that is being reported, we go, because we don't only just use it for investigation, but we use it for our research and policy development. We use that a lot because we want to know how many children and how many people and what categories of children and what is the issue. So we do that in formulation of our policy and even building the capacity of officers that are in the agency.
That is brilliant. I'm tempted to give a round of applause to NAPTIP. I really appreciate that. It's beautiful to know that if you need information as important as data, you can easily access it. So I want to encourage us as much as possible to get this information, get this data. It helps you to put your thoughts and your interventions in perspective. Once again, thank you so much. I'll be having Madam Elizabeth give us what NCC is doing as regarding data, if data is available. But before you take the floor, I have a thought and comment from Abigail Adejo. She said, parents must be intentional about monitoring and having conversations with their children so that they can be free to tell them anything, especially at the teenage age. You must make them your friend. I really like that. And I know that people who are here, whether be a guardian or a parent, who are taking notes, and will find all of this information very useful. So straight to you, Madam Elizabeth Yisa, as regarding data, how is the NCC faring with data? Do we have readily available data on your platform, or is it available or not? You have the floor, Madam.
All right, thank you. So most cases are not reported directly to the NCC. Whenever we go out on our awareness sessions, we ensure we tell them, you know, you're supposed to report to law enforcement. So we are more of the go-between and let the law enforcement do their work.
The link,
so we give,
the middleman.
Yes, exactly. So we give them the NAPTIP information, the email, the website, numbers, the same thing with NPF, NCCC, so that they know where to report, because most of them don't know where to report. So I believe once that data is available from both of those organizations, it sort of covers for the reporting side. However, we recently embarked on a project where we wanted to just have a bird's eye view of what children go through when they're on the internet. So once that data is made available, that report will be posted on the Commission's website for people to know that, okay, this is what was conducted in how many states, in how many regions, this is the number, this is the feedback, this is the percentage of children that complained about this or that, and this is what parents need to target, as regards their children.
Brilliant.
So
is that currently ongoing? Is that currently ongoing?
Yes, it should be done before the end of this year. And that report should be up on the website before the end of this year. Yes.
Thank you so much. I really like that. Thank you so much. Mr. Manza, you want to say something, sir?
No, sorry. No.
Okay. All right. SP Omale Gloria, please let's have your thoughts regarding what the Nigerian Police Force, how we do it in terms of data.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing me here. In terms of data, we have a lot of channels through which citizen files complaints, and once the complaint comes in, we kind of segregate them according to the crime types. We see a lot of sextortion cases, we see a lot of online gender-based violence cases, we see a lot of romance scams and all these things. So every yearly we come up with quarterly, every quarterly we come up with the reports in the past chart format. This one is going up. What do we need to do about it? And how are we going to go about it and ensure people get educated? And recently we are seeing this loan shark report on our platforms of how people are being humiliated, even when they didn't go to collect loan. They'll just put their pictures all over the internet and be making fun of them, that they are fraudsters, they are ritualists, they are all manner of things. So all those data we're looking into it to have them and quarterly come up with reports on what should be done to mitigate this fraud that is ongoing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Mata, so I have a question. Abdulrazak, you want to say something? Please use the chat box. Please, I encourage you to leave your questions in the chat box. We're taking questions now. So I have a question, and I'm directing my question to Mr. Magza, right?
Okay. So go ahead.
Please mute your mic. If you want to ask questions, kindly use the chat box so that we can help hear ourselves better. So is there a special approach to managing issues when it comes to a child, how do I put this now, being the offender, in terms of a child, you know, who is being bullied or exposed to pornography online, but the perpetrator now is another child? Is there a metrics around handling such a case when it's a child-to-child situation? Do we have cases like that?
Yeah, we do. Some of them they don't even know the extent of what they were doing, and some of them purposely they know, even as a child they know. So we have a department called the Counseling and Rehabilitation Department. Most times we as investigators, when we get such kind of cases, we analyze and it's been established properly that actually this child is an offender. Then at the same time, a counselor is being brought in to the case. And then we begin to talk to the child. We begin to know if it's a deliberate attempt, then there are courts that actually handle if we need to take that to court. But if we feel we need to talk to the child, then the counselors will actually handle that, because most times, if we need to do that, then the counselor or the parent should be with us at that time, or the guardian. But most times we have their counselors actually working to handle that cases. It's a very difficult situation because it's a child. How do you now begin to charge a child who is not up to 18 to court? But there are ways of handling juvenile cases, which we actually do those kind of cases. We handle them, but we actually handle such cases. We have about 2 that have come to our agency, which are children of the same school. Actually, they are from the same school. Did you hear me? I hope you got that. We can't hear you. You are muted.
You are muted.
You're muted.
Oh, my apologies, please. My apologies, please.
Okay.
I was saying that is quite disheartening to see child to child. That shows that something is wrong somewhere if a child can get into that space of being a perpetrator to that effect. So let me have your thought, Espiomale Gloria, regarding when it's a child-to-child situation. What is the position of the Nigerian Police Force on that? SP Gloria, are you with us?
Yes, please.
Okay, you have the floor, ma'am.
Yes, I think it has a lot to do with bullying, cyber bullying. That's why even in schools and places of worship, these issues are at the forefront. How are we going to prevent bullying amongst our kids? Because it's very disheartening, like you say, for you to be child to child. Because what we see mostly is
Wow. Okay.
as perpetrator.
I think there's something wrong with your internet connection. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes.
Yes, ma. Go ahead, ma.
Okay, I said it has a lot to do with awareness, education, because issues of bullying among kids is very rampant. We saw recently how it can lead to death, and it has led to death and all those things. So in the schools, they have a lot of among the teachers and professors to help children and to prevent bullying among their peers. Because in a situation where a child is the offender and a child is the victim, there are juvenile courts, and there are juvenile detention facilities and all those things. But it's very disheartening when parents and every other person, stakeholders, and CSOs and NGOs, everybody has to be involved to prevent this action, this crime from taking place.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I want to encourage you once again to leave your questions in the chat box. We are wrapping up our conversations in less than 15 minutes, I believe. Well, Uche Kalu, I see here, thoughts, parental awareness of cyber threats still needs to be improved, still need to happen to improve, still need to be improved to promote cyber safety. I totally agree with you. And I think that this is why this conversation is really important for every one of us in whatever field that we represent. We are also stakeholders in this matter. We are parents, we are guardians to someone, you're an uncle, you're an aunt to someone. So I am really glad that we have the privilege to have this conversation. And I really want to appreciate the management, the board of trustees of the Ndukwe Kalu Foundation for putting this thought together. Just in case you are new to this conversation, the Ndukwe Kalu Foundation is a registered non-profit and non-political organization arm of the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, NIRA, and it was established on the 30th of April in 2013. The NKF is an initiative that empowers girls to make up their minds about pursuing a profession in STEM and have confidence in ICT careers. I need to say why we're having conversation around protecting the Nigerian child, especially when it comes to the digital space. And I want to really appreciate our speakers for doing justice to today's conversation. Thank you so much to you, Mr. Magza, for giving us good thoughts from the perspective of being a parent and also the office that you occupy, being the head of monitoring center and team lead cybercrime response for NAPTIP. NAPTIP is the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person. I also want to appreciate you, Madam Elizabeth Yisa, the Principal Manager, Internet Governance Unit, and she represented Dr. Ibiso Kingsley George, the head of the Internet Unit for the National Communications Commission. Thank you so much. I also want to appreciate SP Omale Gloria for joining us in this conversation. She represented the Nigerian Police Force, and we can see that indeed there's a lot of work that is going on the part of the government in addressing these issues, and it's really brilliant to know. I also have comments from Wale Fajimi. It says, therefore, awareness, cybersecurity awareness and data protection must be given to all parents, guardians, and all that directly interface with children. Please excuse me. Thank you so much for that. I beg your pardon. I had to take a cough. Otibe Joseph said, I'll consider organizing workshops, seminars, or online resources to educate parents about cyber threats and ways to promote cyber safety by empowering parents. By empowering parents with knowledge and skills, we can better protect the younger generation from online harm. Thank you so much for that thought. And our key speakers have stated that these are in the works. Online platforms are opening very soon. It's an idea that NAPTIP, NCC, and even the Nigerian Police Force, they're looking at. But aside that, currently, there are traditional trainings that are happening across states, not just the FCT. So that is really, really, really nice. Sani Bala, we have indeed benefited from this webinar. Kudos to you all. Thank you so much. Big kudos to the team and the management of NKF for putting this together. Ibrahim says, community-based organizations need to be involved and to be supported in this matter because they are very close to the community. I believe that the email of the NKF was shared on this platform as well, so that you can reach out and discuss for collaborations as well. I will be drawing the curtains to this conversation. And before we do that, I would like to hand over to Abdul Razak. Okay, there you go. info@nkf.org.ng is right on the platform. So if you belong to a grassroots organization and you want to have conversations around the collaboration and get more information, it will be really, really useful and instrumental for you. And I really want to commend you for requesting for that. My name is Morenikeji Olonilua, and it's been a great pleasure to have moderated this fireside chat for the COSPRA Summit 2023. It's been informative for me as well. As a parent, there's a lot of take home for me. As a stakeholder, it's really informative, and I'm really glad that I was a part of this. Abdulrazak, you have the floor. Thank you so much for this privilege to be a part of this conversation. Once again, thank you so much to our special guests, our speakers. We really appreciate you for making time out of your schedule to be a part of this conversation. Thank you so much, SP Omale Gloria. Thank you, Mr. Magzam. Thank you so much, Ms. Elizabeth Isa. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, everyone. Abdulrazak, you have the floor.
Thank you, Maureen. Of course, our own very special guest. Everyone is special here, especially the speakers themselves. Thank you so much for making this so lively and engaging. We always believe you are the right person to take this one. For the speakers who have been able to join this call, we really appreciate. We know how pressing your time is, and finding time to join this, we really appreciate you. Unfortunately, most of our speakers were joining from the MDAs, such as NAPTIP, NCC, the Nigerian Police Force, and the only one person that can answer some of your questions based on the private sector is not here. I would have loved to see what NCC, the likes of NCC and NAPTIP are doing with the private sector and the CSOs, which I believe Mr. Chineye will have been the right person to answer, but unfortunately he's not here. I sincerely apologize on his behalf. And for all the speakers who have been here, we sincerely thank you. We have on Improve our newsletters where we capture most of these conversations, and we are pretty sure that we are sending it all out for everyone who would like to go through this session again, both in writing and in video. Thank you so much, and everyone, for joining us. I don't know if our ES have anything to say before we can.
Sorry to cut you, Abdulrazak. I think that we have a. Okay, so we would take the closing remark from the chairperson of the NKF, Mrs. Mary Unduma. She will give us the closing remark. You're welcome. It's an honor to have you here. Join the conversation.
Let me first apologize that good afternoon, everyone. Let me first apologize that I'm in a noisy place. You might hear car horns and the rest of the noise at the background. I'm very sorry about that. But I want to sincerely thank our resource persons for showing up and discussing frantically and openly, transparently. And we are also grateful that in spite of the difficulties, the challenges online, and we're able to make it. We believe that we would have another webinar where we'll have the private sector. We focus on private sector, just like Abdul said, and let's see their own perspective. And also let them come and take responsibility. We want them to say, this is what we are going to do, or the action we are going to take to protect our children online. We want the technical group or stakeholders, that those that the likes of Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and all the rest of them to also take responsibility. They have responsibility in this case. What are they doing technically to help our children to be protected online? So that's the missing link we need to do by the time we do it again. And I want to do for organizing this. We hope that we have garnered some further insight into what other stakeholders are doing. And we can't wait to collaborate with each of us, each of the stakeholders, to make sure that our children are safe online and they are protected. Especially NIRA, that is asking people to go online. NIRA is the managers of our .ng, and we are selling domain and asking individuals in their business, they want to see that NIRA is also taking responsibility, want to know that NIRA is there for the children as well, to protect them. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. I'm sorry, again, I need to apologize that my environment, my location is a bit Oh, please pardon the noise at the background. And thank you again. Our doing such a nice job, such a great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we believe that when we call on you again, you will come to our response and respond to us. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you for attending. See you again at the next webinar. Bye.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much. Abdulrazak, you have the floor while we wrap up. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Your floor. You've already shut me out.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're back to our ES, Miss Erica Okibe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to say thanks again. Our chairperson has actually rounded off the entire meeting with her closing remarks. So I just want to write on that platform. And thanks everyone for being here. I'm really glad to have you, and I'm hoping that next time you see our calls, you will kindly respond, and we'll collaborate. And this window is open for collaborative efforts from all organizations. And like Chairperson has also said, we're taking it out to other private sector holders. Thanks again, and do have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.